JDM cars are best known for its performance and handling, as well as their propensity for being modded by tuners around the world. Growing up, these JDM cars were the 90s kids' heroes when Gran Turismo made racing simulations cool and developed the love of cars for many petrolheads today. But of the many, there was a quadrant that quickly grew a cult following and ultimately becoming what we know them today as the 90s JDM legends.
NSX NA1, Skyline GTR R32, Supra A80 and Mazda RX7 FD3S. We think we know these cars so well. In fact, we do see them at events, car meets and sometimes individually on the roads, but never all of them together. We grew up adoring these cars, and to see all of them parked right here today together is just absolutely something else. Now, it's a different feeling just looking at the static presence of this car, because even by looking at the lines and the shape of it all, I'm getting an evocation of feelings and different emotions inside. And how lucky I am is today that I get to drive all these 4 cars out on the open road. So, you know what? I'm unsure which one to drive first, but you know what? Just do the RX7. If you were to base these cars on outlook alone, then the RX7 has got to be the winner of them all. Just look at the design, the curves and the body line is just so sleek, and its low slung profile, all in the details, just look absolutely beautiful. Just imagine what it would have been like in 1991 when Mazda launched the RX7 FD3S.
Time has been kind with the FD's shape, and depends on individualistic styles, aftermarket parts can truly accentuate the clean lines that the RX7 has. But the RX7 is more than just a beauty queen, because Mazda's philosophy was to create a lightweight and well-balanced sports car.
Now, to drive an RX7, I think that it offers the most different experience that all the other 3 here offers. Just listen to that rotary 13B engine. It is so rev happy above 3000 RPM, and for all the reasons why Mazda put the 13B rotary engine into the RX7, all of it is all resulting to it being lightweight. The RX7 has a 50-50 weight distribution, and you know what? That makes the car feel so nimble and raw when you're driving on the road. It feels unlike any of the other 3 cars here. It gives a very different experience. But the problem is, until you own an RX7, until you own a rotary in your garage, you can't quite brain and understand the reliability issues that all rotary engines offer. It takes gulps at fuel, and it is so unreliable. In fact, sometimes that we're here, the car just doesn't want to sit idle at all. So the problem is that it's easy. Of course, it's easy for you to say that you can swap out an engine into an RB or a 2J into the RX7, but that completely defeats the purpose of buying an RX7. Other than its shape, I think the rotary engine is important in order to ensure that the originality of the RX7 is maintained for the utmost and best experience of owning an RX7. So while the RX7's engine may have felt like an experimental project, the engine on the Supra right here is just all sorts of old school. The 2JZ GTE engine right there is just known for its reliability and tuning capabilities throughout all the years the Supra has existed. And obviously supercar owners now know better as well to not race a Supra at the lights, at least from Fast and Furious, because they might just surprise you producing 1,500 horsepower.
Toyota always intended the Supra to be a grand tourer for the road. Its front-engine rear-wheel drive layout matched with size and weight means that the A80 Supra is the more traditional one of the bunch. But Toyota did take measures to lighten the A80 by nearly 100 kilograms from its predecessor, ensuring that the Supra handles well too.
Being inside the Supra, I think that the cockpit is absolutely futuristic from the bunch, because everything is so driver-centric. It's all looking towards the driver, and it's a little bit weird because considering that the Supra is probably the least exciting one to drive around the corners out of all the lot. But then again, Toyota had a recipe. The Supra in the 90s was already a product that was so established, and they just updated it a little bit to fit better with time. And you know what? It was the one thing that made the Supra so popular. You have a recipe, you go with it, and everybody loves it. Unlike the brains at Nissan, however, The R32 is a revival of the GTR badge. After 16 years of suppression, the last Canmary GTR was from 1973. So when they wanted to launch this, the BNR32 in 1989, Nissan wanted to put all of its technological know-how into motorsports to pave its way for the company's future. So the R32, to be honest, did exactly just that, because it completely whacked everything in the Group A realm. It was so good, in fact, that it was nicknamed the Godzilla.
Technological acronyms were introduced on the BNR32, like the Atessa four-wheel drive system that was designed to send traction to the front wheels when needed, and high-cast rear-wheel steering system developed to increase high-speed stability. This sophistication resulted in the Skyline GTR success both on the track and on the streets.
From behind the wheel, however, surprisingly, the R32 is the least intimidating of them all to drive out of the 90s JDM legend. To be honest, I feel very comfortable sitting inside here. It just feels like any other car, and the visibility is great, so you don't feel very low slung and you don't feel very intimidated being behind the wheel. But nothing about the performance is slow about it. It's absolutely quick, especially for its time. And you know what? If the electronics gave the sophistication that the R32 needed, the engine gave all the character that the R32 is so adored for. Of course, however, when it comes to the Skyline, people always talk about the R34, but people always forget that the R32 is and should be the rightful heir to the 90s JDM legend. It came at the right time, and it was also the Skyline that got all the wins on the circuit. So if you think that the R34 should be the rightful heir and should be the car represented in this group test, to be honest, I don't think so. It should be this. This is the one that deserves all the attention. While the other three manufacturers were busy logging heads with each other, Honda had bigger goals. They set their foresights to build a supercar to go against the likes of Ferrari. And while they were so successful in F1 in the 90s and in period, on the showroom floors, they didn't exactly have a performance-oriented model. So they set their foresights to go out and make a supercar to do exactly just that. And this was it. This is the NSX.
NSX translates into New Sports Car Experimental, and famously Honda used Ayrton Senna's driving input in this car's development. His analog love was written all over this car, and oddly enough, Honda's engineers did accept this rudimentary take on its flagship sports car. The engine was normally aspirated unlike the other three, and it didn't even have power steering.
I can feel everything that the steering is to offer because it's unassisted. It's mid-engine. The clutch requires precision. The gear throw is so short. It is a true driver's car. And this is probably the Senna connection that Honda really wanted to inculcate into the NSX. This is something that you can't get off the lot. It really puts a smile on my face because this is probably one of the best cars I've ever driven. And I can't imagine what the Type R1 must feel like, because that is the more track-focused and more raw version. In fact, even this normal version is already so raw and so nice. It's precise, it's as accurate and as visceral as you can imagine. Yes, I'm saying that word again. This is definitely an all-time great right here. Definitely. I think that all these four JDM legends here offer very different kinds of joy on the wheel. They've all made history, and the world is a much better place with all of them in it. We car enthusiasts, we may be diverse with the cars that we like and adore, but as a cult, we can all agree that all these four cars deserves a place as the all-time greats. Now, I have a journey home, and if I had to pick between all these four, there can only be one, and it's this, the Honda NSX. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe to noiko.co for more videos to come, and see you next time.